welcome back to the It's.OnlyBasketball Podcast, where we only talk about basketball. I'm your host, Love of the Game, and this is episode 3, I want to say, of the pod. As you can see before you, we're going to have some topics to discuss here. First thing being the Pascal Siakam trade and what it has done for the Pacers so far and what I think he can do for the Pacers moving forward. Uh, Another thing we're going to discuss is the Brunson. Is he a 1A? Can he be a 1A on a championship level team? Just some other things too. We'll go over film to see exactly what these guys do, look at their stats, and etc. But first, I want to introduce our sponsor for today. We have EPN Supplements. If you're looking to get a leaner body, a nicer frame, and a healthier way, try EPN Supplements and use promo code OBANKS to get at least 10% off of your purchase. All right, so I just want to say that I think the Pacers gave up an integral piece to their team when it comes to giving up Bruce Brown and then the 3 draft picks for just Pascal Siakam. I think that might be a slight overpay, especially when you look at what Rudy Gobert got, as far as it was 5 first round draft picks. Doing 3 for Spicy P just seems a little bit too much for me. Now, granted, they only gave up Bruce Brown and not any more players, so the infrastructure of the team as a whole remains the same. Now, my OGs and such would tell me about the Pacers. We had not that great of wing depth, so Pascal was supposed to solve that for us. My only concern with the Pacers and their wing depth is Pascal runs the 4. So even though Jason Tatum runs the 4, when I watch Pascal play from the championship run in 2019 to the blunder he had against the very Celtics we were talking about he's supposed to help with, not being able to perform efficiently that entire playoff run in 2020, um, and to see how his play has kind of not necessarily plateaued as he has an uptick in scoring this year, averaging 24, but that's also because the team is kind of was in mediocrity until he was traded, the team being the Raptors. So when looking at these variables about Spicy P, to me, he's more of an offensive guy than defensive. I think he may provide a little bit of resistance, but I don't think he's a better defender than Bruce Brown. So if the purpose was to shore up the wing depth, I don't think that was the move to go. And Indiana already has a lot of offense just off of Tyrese Halliburton being able to set up the teammates, also running that pick and roll action. Who we have? You got Miles Turner. I don't think he's really anything offensively, but I personally felt like we should be unlocking Buddy Hield the way Sacramento unlocked Buddy Hield, and I just haven't seen that. 13 a game on, I guess, solid efficiency for Buddy Hield is not really what I know him and accustomed to be. I've watched him since he was in Oklahoma before. No, not before, because I wasn't really a college basketball fan. But when seeing him dominating Oklahoma, I went back to study more film of Buddy Hield and watching his game progress, even went from the first season to now. He's had a lot of progression. I think he can be a little up and down, but you're kind of running the similar thing, doing the similar thing that the Sacramento Kings did that season when they went 41-41, and they had Iman Shumpert, Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox had just broke out, averaging 25. And that was push the ball, push the ball, push the ball. And Indiana is running a high octane offense where, just like I'll even liken it to the Wizards when they got Westbrook and still had Bradley Beal, it's all offense, no defense. You know what I'm saying? I think the only saving grace is Miles Turner, but Miles Turner is no Rudy Gobert. Um, and even people don't even credit Rudy Gobert. So Miles Turner, not even being him, he's your only line of defense. it's just puzzling to say the least. And now, when looking at this Spicy P trade, he only averages about 5 to 6 rebounds this season, and in his best seasons, he was averaging about 7 to 8. Which, again, if you're shoring up your front line, I don't necessarily think adding Spicy P to your roster to be your four with an already weak rebounding center is going to help your case in becoming better. Now, granted, they were on a slope um, as far as victories go when they first got him, but I think they're starting to figure it out now. Um, so I just let's just take a look at what he's doing with the Pacers right now. Saying basketball reference is always king to me. Uh, so what in 5 games he's averaging 22, 8, and 6. So he is playing solid. Okay, 5 game sample size isn't nothing crazy, but you know I think they're what 3-2 with them. I'm trying to find their most recent game. I think you'll get the picture. I'll just do it like this. Okay, so he played 5 games with them. So looking here, yeah, so they're 3-2 with Pascal. Not bad, not bad. Beat the lost, dropped one to the Suns, but you beat the Sixers. You only lost to the Nuggets by 5, and the Grizzlies aren't doing that much this year since they don't have John Morant. But I think, like I said, I don't know if he's addressing those defensive issues for the Pacers, and we already have enough offense, and we already know he can score. So the numbers, his efficiency, I think, is a big factor we should be looking at here because that just shows his ability to score gets amplified in this offense, especially with having a point guard like Halliburton, which he's never had. He's shying away from the three, it seems, since you already have shooters, and now he has space to operate and do what he's more comfortable with. So just looking at it from Indiana's perspective, I don't know if he'll be an All Star this season. He could be, um, but he's not. In my opinion, he's not all NBA type of player. Um, you could kind of say he's like Julius Randle, where in the regular season he performs, but then when the playoffs come, he's just not the same. And let's just look at the numbers here. In the playoffs, you got last year he 48%, 24% from three. That wasn't even last year. They didn't even make it last year. That's 2 years ago. And then the year before that, obviously the bubble year, he just wet the bed. So he hasn't really led the Raptors to any playoff success. I mean, hey, it'd be like that sometimes. And I think this is the year they went against Philly in the first round. Yeah, we no Spicy P. And that Julius Randle comparison. I'm saying, let's see here. No, I like Julius Randle, but you got to take the good with the bad with the guy. And yeah, it's fairly similar resume. 2-time All Star, 2-time All NBA. Only difference is there's no championship, and their games are kind of similar, where they only look to go to one side of the floor. I think I'll give Pascal this credit. His game is more diverse than Julius Randle, because to me it seems Juice struggles with using that offhand, but For Pascal, you know that spin move is coming back over the left shoulder to get back to his right side. You know what I'm saying? At any point in time, a spin move will hit you with Pascal. So his offense, the reason why at least in that 2020 run it was kind of predictable was because you knew what he had in store. So it was a little bit of inflation with Julius Randle. It's just straight up watching him in the playoffs, watching him in the regular season. You know, these numbers always look good. Not this season, but that's when he just got to New York for real. You know what I'm saying? Still trying to handle that extra attention. But that those 25 and 10 and these 24 and 10, these scoring averages is most likely coming from these weaker teams that they're playing and facing. Uh, However, that Julius Randle comparison segues us to Jalen Brunson and him being a 1A to a championship level team. Now, I've been watching Jalen Brunson this season, and I've been watching Brunson for a few seasons. I don't think his rookie year, but that year after. I think he was only averaging like 10 points, you know, and I was trying to look up undersized guards I can watch and whose games I can mimic. You know what I'm saying? So I also pull up some film of Jalen Brunson just to keep it fair, uh, just so you can get an idea of what I mean about like I'm studying and watching film of JB. So let me see. That's a lot of playlists. There we go. Right now, this playlist here is what I was making for trying to study how, as a guard, what advantages I could have on the offensive side, um, and understanding positioning, if you will, since I have a larger frame and I'm pretty strong. And so I have a lot of film on Brunson and a lot of other guys, but Brunson is one of the big reasons I even started this whole playlist. And it's public. Be able to see it if you want to see it on your own time. But you see Jalen Brunson there. But that's like over 40 plus, like 40 plus minutes. I got almost hours of film on not just different players being able to score from here, but just of Jalen Brunson in general. As you can see here, 25 minutes, 18 minutes, 16 minutes, 12, 15, all Brunson, Brunson. You know what I'm saying? So that's just to give you an idea of what I mean by I was studying this game. Um, but even this season, the kind of season he's having, go back here. To me, it's ridiculous. Um, yeah, 48, averaging almost 27, 7, and 4. And that's not even giving off the intangibles of what Jalen Brunson has been able to do. So with JB, what I've been witnessing is a more slowed down game and his ability to flourish. Some of the things you saw in that Dallas Mavericks run to the conference finals of what Jalen Brunson could become. That year where he was averaging 16, being able to play off the ball to a ball dominant player and then turn it up a notch once he needs to was allowing you to see a glimpse, if you will, of him not being afraid of the moment, not being scared, being able to be a leader, and just things of that nature. Uh, with JB though, being a 6 foot guard, a lot of his points is coming from drawing contact and then off of that separation, being able to elevate over the defender, not necessarily vertically, but getting his shot up on a high arc. So a lot of his mid-range shots is coming from crafty moves, from the punch dribbles to floaters, spin backs over the right and or left shoulder. One move that I know a lot of players use is when they stick the two hands out to try to draw contact, sweeping from a crossover right to left, swiping up, just like James Harden used to do, getting that contact and getting to the free throw line. But I think that frame and lack of verticality is why he is such a dynamic scorer, because now he knows these different angles he has to attack. Brunson's able to play in a box. Not saying his skill is being restrained, but more so he can score with, I don't know, 10 inches or a foot of space. Like if you were to put a player in him in just one spot, say on the sideline or in the corner, where it's very difficult to score because it's limited space, he can score from that opportunity at a very effective level. And his ability to just feint and jab while having the ball still in his hands, manipulating the dribble to create a slight um, positional shift of the defender, and then attacking that angle in which he can. And once he gets in front of you, it's just his shoulders and body. And at that point, there's no getting around it unless you foul him. And so, with that being said, you know, again, with his ability to now shoot the 3-point ball pretty effectively, I don't know how long this will last, but looking at the playoffs, these skills he has translates. And the reason why I'm enumerating these skills, the reason why I'm listing out how he's able to play in tight spaces in difficult spots, create his own shot at will, even though he doesn't have the longest wingspan, the verticality, the athleticism, is because, to answer the original topic of the question, I believe that he can be a 1A on a championship level team. As you looking at this playoff run, he was averaging 28, but against Miami, to make sure I get this correct, I think he was averaging like 27, 28 against Miami as well. Now he was averaging 30 against Miami. And this is a crucial element because these are technically the conference champions. And when the moment got brightest, it was basically Jalen Brunson versus the Heat out there, which for a 6 foot guard to average 35 and 6 on 50%, 35 splits, that just goes to show his capability of scoring the basketball. This is not an aberration though, because he did this when he was in Dallas. Was able to be this effective, this efficient without Luka Doncic in the game. You know, and I'll expand on that more in the part 2 of this podcast.